fancy PowerPoint. My talk today is just intended to give those of you who are unfamiliar with MDRS or have a slight familiarity to kind of update you on what's happening in MDRS, to talk about some of the changes we're making for next season. So it's not any type of formal presentation. Also, I had a heart attack 4 months ago I'm recovering from. I don't think I can stand up here that long. So if I grab a seat and sit down, that's why I'm sitting down. And I'm just going to let you know a few things and then answer questions, basically. So nothing really.
You want a chair up there?
I'm okay for now, thanks, Steve. So basically, about 3 years ago, MDRS was in what I would consider pretty dire straits. It had devolved a little bit. It was finally financially solvent. I don't have any PowerPoint. It was financially solvent for the first time since its inception, but we weren't doing a lot of really hard, good research. And it devolved into a little bit of a space camp. So crews were coming out. This is not to say that there were very good, serious crews that were coming out, but there was no attempt to take a crew and say, hey, we want you to do some really good stuff, like back in the good old days when we first started up at MDRS. And so we had a few years where while we were operational, we weren't exactly functioning at a really high research capacity. So about 3 years ago, we decided to change all that, kind of pull ourselves up and create a program that we can really, really be proud of. And I am proud of what we've accomplished. We've got a very, very amazing team of people who work really, really hard year-round. So not just during the field season, but year-round to make this happen. So we started. We fumbled for a year and a half, and we just basically said, let's see what's happening. Let's analyze what's going on at MDRS, and take the good stuff and fix the bad stuff. So about a year and a half, we started strategically planning how we wanted things to go along. And what's the first thing that happens when you start to strategically plan? For every strategic planning point you have, something happens that bumps it in a different direction. So we had spent a good 6 months at the beginning of this last field season feeling like we were really, really, really spot on. We were going to move. This was going to be amazing. It was going to be wonderful. We were going to do the best we'd ever done. And right before the field season started, we lost our mission support director and a lot of key mission support people. So we kind of started the field season on a really, really, really bumpy road. Fortunately, I'm sorry?
What happened?
The mission support director moved. He was based in Europe. He moved to an area where he no longer had internet access. It's very hard to run mission support from a small village in Europe without internet access. And he had been actually trying to keep doing it by running to town and using the free Wi-Fi in town, and it just became too hard. He also had some health issues. And then we just had some bumps. So we started in a really, really bumpy, we started the season really bumpy. Fortunately, we had spent a lot of time in November and October retrofitting the station. We had put in a new toilet, new shower, new sink, completely new septic system. We'd upgraded the observatory. We had retrofitted the green cab from a closed-loop water recycling system to a functional crop-growing greenhouse. We had built tunnels. We had bought new ATVs. So in one aspect, we were really lucky, even though operationally we had fallen apart right there at the very beginning. The facilities were in really great shape, except for the septic, but that's a whole other story. Again, bumps in the road. So then we went through the field season. We had 13 crews. We had a 6-month field season. It was the longest field season we had. We had 16 crews, many international crews, many student crews from different universities. We had all the crews except 2 were self-organized, meaning that they put themselves together and told us what they were going to do and went out and did it. We had 2 Mars Society crews where those were individuals who wanted to be part of a team. They didn't have a team, so we put them together. They were the 2 crews early on in the season. And we did, and they did very, very well. We have several crews actually here with us today at the conference, and they're going to be presenting for the rest of the afternoon. They presented yesterday and they'll present tomorrow. So we made it through the season after that really rocky start in fine shape, but we also knew what we really, really wanted to change coming up this year. So some of the changes that are going to happen within the next field season, let me talk first about the facility itself. We're going back out in October, actually September 28th through October 15th is our work party this year. Anybody is invited to join us during that time, by the way. We have a lot of people coming out the first week, but we still have, and it doesn't matter, even if we have too many people, we rent hotel rooms in town, and we have a pretty good time, and we do a lot of work. We're going to finish the tunnel system, so we'll have a tunnel from MDRS, the hab itself, to the observatory. We're going to retrofit, so what we did last year with the green hab is we pulled out all the water recycling materials and we set up a very basic crop growing system, and we're going to put in some automated facilities this fall. We're going to completely remodel, I don't know how to put it, the upstairs, the walls are getting, the upper deck, the walls are getting pretty rough and very unattractive. And so we're going to go in and put in all new wall finishes and new flooring finishes so that the upper deck will be much prettier. That's important, right? You spend a lot of time inside the house. So those are some of the things that we're going to do in October. We also have a crew in October. We have mission support personnel working with teams in Europe and New Zealand for World Space Week, and they're going to do basically outreach. I'm not familiar with all of it's a worldwide effort. I'm only involved in that I selected the crew and that I'll be there to see what happens. But they're going to have worldwide in-synced EVAs, which I think is really, really fascinating. Some with robotics, some not. And so MDRS will be part of this great big worldwide organized event. After that, the field season is going to start in late December. If you've applied and you applied for early December and you're like, what is she saying? It was on the form and said I could apply. Yeah, you can apply and give me a really good reason why I should start work on December 7th. I'll be happy to listen. And we're also limiting the crews this year, so there will not be any in May. In May this year, it was just too hot to keep the greenhouses functioning, and also for those of us on mission support, 6 months was a really long field season, and especially for those who had to pick up the pieces after I disappeared about mid-April. So we have a really nice, wonderful mission support team, and anybody who wants to join mission support, we welcome you. Right now we have currently about 50 active members, and I have tons. I apologize if you emailed me and you volunteered and I haven't got back to you. I will soon. And I have a bunch more, and we welcome anybody who wants to join the mission support team. Some of the teams that we have are the Capcom mission support teams who work with the crews every evening. So you're the communication, the earthbound communication with the crews when they're on analog Mars. We have a science team. We have an engineering team. Both the science team and the engineering team will be working at FMARS for the Mars 365 mission as well. So we're tagging the two teams together. We have a wonderful astronomy team. They were out there for 2 weeks this summer, retrofitting the observatory. It's beautiful, it's functional. It's supposed to be able to be operated from the HAB this season, but it doesn't matter if you can't because we're going to have a tunnel and we can get there anyway. We have a great Green HAB team that's working on currently just agricultural issues. So we're working on growing crops. We made a decision to put off doing any greenhouse research until next season, but we do have funds available already to put in research-grade material in the Green HAB to do research. So not this season, but next season. We'll have that available. So those are just some of the teams that we have. We're always looking for people to join the teams. If you've been to MDRS, you know, you are more valuable than gold to us if you want to join a team because you really, really know what's going on. But if you haven't been to MDRS, that's fine too. Several of the people who are going out for World Space Week as crew members are long-term mission support, Capcoms, etc., who are now going out for the first time. So they've been supporting the HAB for years in what we do, and they're finally going to get out there, which is pretty exciting. We also have a flight surgeon team made up of, currently just made up of doctors, although we're discussing the possibility of adding other medical and psychological professionals to that team. So I wanted to talk a little bit, does anybody have any questions? Yes?
Yes, I served on Crew 80, 2009, as a medical officer and engineer. And I thought the quality of a lot of the equipment was horrendous. I really worked very hard to keep it young. It was very gratifying to be able to do that. But the equipment, a lot of the equipment now, all of it, is just in tremendous condition. And
Can you speak up a little?
Upgrade, especially the generators.
The generator is beautiful. So my first crew was Crew 4. That's back when we had this little tiny generator that we'd have to fill every 6 hours, and it died at the end of the
Could
first.
you repeat the question for
Yeah.
the board director?
So the question was, back in the day, it was really hard to keep things running at MDRS, and what have we done to fix that? So, like you, I understand. I also had a generator burn up on me, which was that was Crew 14. That's another story. So we now have a generator that runs by itself. You don't have to do anything with it, and it's steady and strong. And we'll have a brand new one this fall. So the current, it's a diesel power generator. We've had it for 3 years, and we're putting in a new generator this fall, hopefully by October, to counter that. Were you there back in the day of solar cells and batteries?
No,
and
but
we went through that.
The battery pack under the HAB
Okay.
would only capacity for about 5 minutes.
Yeah.
One time I lost power with the whole HAB, so completely down.
It's gone. The solar panels are gone, with the exception of a small solar panel that runs the green HAB. We did a lot of engineering experiments at MDRS early on, and they became very, very unwieldy, and so crews would spend their entire time trying to keep the HAB running, and that's no longer the case. So I did mention briefly our dilemma with we put in a brand new septic system and a beautiful brand new flush toilet. And those of you who have showered, other than this last season, and you remember the old creepy shower where you just were sure something was going to reach up and grab you, we now have a beautiful shower, beautiful bathroom. And then we had problems all season with a darn septic system. But the joke has always been at MDRS that the one thing we don't do right is toilets. You know, if you don't have a toilet in space, you're kind of screwed in a lot of ways. And we have done every conceivable configuration. We started out at MDRS with a composting toilet. Then we went, I was there when that exploded, lucky me. Yeah, you put a toilet in there that's for, it says right on the toilet that it's for 2 people, weekends only. So you stick 6 people in a hab where they don't even get to go to work except outside, and then they have to come in and use that toilet. It took about a month and a half to completely explode, and it literally exploded. Because what does it do? It composts, and it blew up all over downstairs. So,
can you back up and just give a general overview of the type of science that's done in these application periods, and what is the output, what is the outcome that is beneficial to this kind of colonization research as a whole?
Okay. Very briefly, we used to do traditional field science. It used to be traditional geology, which would, of course, look at just analog sites on Earth. Biology, field biology mostly. A lot of human factors. We're working with a lot more human factor researchers lately. We've done a lot more human factors research than, for example, field geology and field biology. We are recruiting actively field scientists, and we have 2 scholarships this year for either professional field scientists or professional engineers to come out, and we pay for their crew fees. So there are 4 scholarships available there. We also have a team that's putting together a summary of all the crews so that we can actually have quick and easy access to all of that work. It was interesting yesterday, you know, we were talking here a little bit about spacesuits. And, you know, back in the day we did a lot of spacesuit. The amount of research that's been done at MDRS is mind-boggling. The fact that we haven't tried to synthesize it and make something of it is even more mind-boggling. But it's also a lot of data, a lot of data. We do a lot more crews that are students, so they're being trained to be field scientists as opposed to coming out and doing professional research. So we would like to attract both crews. We had a medical crew last year. It was all medical professionals. So there's quite a lot of different types of work that have been and are being done. We are, and I'm going to run out of time because I started so late, we're focused on coming up with a unified plan of where we'd like to go from here forward so that we don't have all the scattered research. But there's still a really serious need for taking the research that we do have and synthesizing it into something that's usable for getting humans to Mars. Very quickly, because I'm out of time, the crew application procedure has begun. The applications are due by September 15th, but it's a two-part process. So if you want to be a crew member at MDRS, please look into that as soon as possible. You'll definitely, also your priority dates are in the order that completed applications are received. So the earlier you get that application in, the earlier you get to pick your date and you don't have to fight with somebody else over the dates. I had a lot more I was going to say, but I'm out of time, so anybody that wants to talk to me, just grab me and let's talk. All right?